Rink Wide Vancouver. Pre-game, post-game, every game presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at Bodog.net. Wadden and JPat back once again with another edition of the pre-game show as the Canucks get set to face off against the St. Louis Blues, but a much different Blues team than the one they saw the last time they faced each other.
Yeah, they lost 5-1 to the Blues just before Christmas, a forgettable night at Rogers Arena. But you're right, both of these teams pulling off significant trades here ahead of the deadline. Bo Horvat obviously shipped to the New York Islanders, but the Blues have made two significant trades. Vladimir Tarasenko goes to the New York Rangers, and then late on Friday night, it was Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari getting sent to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So both of these teams signaling the direction that they are headed for the remainder of this season. The Blues are struggling right now after these trades. They don't have a lot of pop in their lineup. They've lost 3 in a row. We know the Canucks are coming off that shootout loss in Nashville, but they've got their own defensive issues as well. So St. Louis 6 points in front of the Vancouver Canucks. I think the Blues are probably a little late to the tankathon party, but hey, maybe the bottom falls out entirely after trading away the players they have, and who knows, before the deadline, maybe there's more trades to come.
Let's get to the lineup change, which is presented by Delaney's OK Tire out there on Fraser Highway in Langley. Couple of rookies going to get the nod tonight, one in goal and one making his debut as a Canuck.
Yeah, Artur Silov's going to make his third National Hockey League start. Of course, got the first victory of his career the other night against the Philadelphia Flyers. Watched the Nashville game as the backup, but he gets the call here against the Blues. And Aatu Räty has been recalled from Abbotsford. He was a part of that Bo Horvat trade. Anthony Beauvillier obviously has played every game since that deal, but Räty went down to Abbotsford, has struggled to adjust to a new change of scenery. I'm a little surprised that he got the call, but the Canucks want to see what they've got. 20-year-old, he's going to center a line with Vasily Podkolzin and Sheldon Dries. Now, we'll see if the young guys get a chance to play. Of course, the other night in Nashville, the story there was Rick Tocchet leaning so heavily on his top-end guys. If it's supposed to be about the process over the final 25 games, then you got to see what some of these youngsters can do. So let's monitor Aatu Räty's ice time. He's got 2 NHL goals earlier this season. His last goal in the big came against the Vancouver Canucks in a game in early January. Now he's a member of the Vancouver Canucks wearing number 27 for the hockey club. And Guillaume Brisebois is back yet again. It sounds like Riley Stillman is going to be the odd man out. Tough night the other night for him and Tyler Myers, of course. Myers is a right shot guy, and they just don't have any extras to play the right side. And so Tyler Myers will live to see another day in the Canuck lineup. As for Riley Stillman, he's going to get sat down and replaced by Guillaume Brisebois. So read into that what you will in terms of what the coaching staff thinks of Stillman's performance the other night against the Predators.
One of the top-end guys, of course, is Andrei Kuzmenko, who's gone from Rick Tocchet's doghouse to the penthouse. He's red hot right now.
He is. He's responded to the coaching change, and even with some tough love there in the middle where he was benched for long stretches, he's scoring at a terrific rate all of a sudden again. I mean, he did this earlier in the season, so maybe it isn't all of a sudden, but he is back doing what he did earlier this year under Bruce Boudreau. He's got 7 goals since the coaching change, so he is producing for Rick Tocchet, and of course, back on that line with Elias Pettersson, and anybody that plays with Pettersson seems to be able to find the range in the back of the net. But Kuzmenko holding the hot hand right now, had the 2 goals, including the late one the other night against the Preds. 4 goals in his last 3 games, so we'll see if he can carry that one on tonight in St. Louis.
One of the Canucks' strengths this year was their power play. It dipped a little bit, but right now it's starting to fire again.
Yeah, Sheldon Dries with that loose puck goal late in the second period, thought was going to get them to the locker room after 2, tied it 2, but of course, Nashville had a response and scored in the dying seconds of that second period. But Sheldon Dries with the power play goal the other night. The Canucks have scored a power play marker in each of their last 3 games and 5 of their last 6. So yeah, they're back into the top 10 in the National Hockey League. They are 10th by percentage. And that's really, when you think of the component parts they have, even after trading Bo Horvat, who was a massive part of the power play, still enough top end talent there that they probably should be a top 10 power play in the National Hockey League. And so they are there now with 25 games to go. We'll see if they can stay in the top 10 over the balance of the schedule.
Been a tough season for Tyler Myers. Had a very tough night against the Preds. He's going to want to rebound tonight.
Yeah, and I think he owes it to his teammates, and there has to be a little bit of professional pride as well. On for all 4 of the goals. It was a circus when he was out on the ice the other night at Bridgestone Arena. He's got to try to be better than that. Again, you don't know how the Canucks are going to use him. Is he going to be used in a matchup role? Is he going to get penalty killing assignments? So let's see and monitor his ice time. But without Luke Shen on the right side, all of a sudden, Tyler Myers is probably behind Ethan Bear on the depth chart, but ahead of Kyle Burrows. So, you're likely to see a fair bit of Tyler Myers. That may not be a great thing. Maybe the St. Louis Blues think it's going to be a good thing, but Myers just has to find a way to tighten things up defensively. We'll see if he can do that in this game tonight.
Let's focus in on the Blues for just a moment. They've lost 3 straight, and not only that, they get outscored big time over those 3 games.
Yeah, and we talked about them signaling the direction with those trades. I mean, those are key pieces of that 2019 Stanley Cup win. And so it's got to be tough for the guys that are left behind. And you wonder how they're processing it. I would think on the ice, not very well, because you're right. It's not just 3 losses. It's the fact that they've been outscored 15-4 in those 3 hockey games. So not terribly competitive here the last little bit. And we'll see if they're better against the Vancouver Canucks or if their troubles continue. But the early response to these trades has not been particularly good for Craig Berube's team.
But this team, though, has been handed over to the youngsters now. Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas are the stars of this team.
Yeah, there is no doubt that this is their team now. Kyrou leads the team in goals. Robert Thomas is a gifted playmaker, doesn't score an awful lot, although they did score in the game against the Vancouver Canucks back in December. But Kyrou had his first NHL hat-trick then, and he is the go-to guy. But when you've been outscored 15-4, obviously nobody playing or producing particularly well. Those 2 guys have been pretty quiet here. Kyrou has an assist in those 3 games, but Robert Thomas has been held off the score sheet. They're going to play on a line with Brandon Saad, the veteran, and that is really the Blues' top line, if you will. They've got some other pieces. Braden Shen, of course, brother Luke, not on the road trip any longer, so it won't be a battle of the Shen brothers in this one. Pavel Buchnevich also there. I mean, those are the guys that they're looking to and counting on, but there's no doubt. When you trade away guys like Tarasenko and O'Reilly, this becomes Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas's team moving forward.
And it's Jordan Binnington's net, but you never know what you're going to get from JB.
Like a box of chocolates. You really don't. I mean, this guy led the Blues to a Stanley Cup as a rookie. But also we saw what happened in the bubble against the Vancouver Canucks. He wasn't very good then. He's had some nights. You know, he and Connor Hellebuyck are tied for the National Hockey League lead in terms of the number of starts this year at 44. So this guy's been busy, but that's really where the comparisons to Hellebuyck end, because Connor Hellebuyck has been terrific for the Winnipeg Jets. Jordan Binnington, not so much, running with an .893 goals against average and has struggled to make some saves here of late. That said, I find this fascinating. Lifetime in 4 starts against the Vancouver Canucks, he's 3-0-1. He's given up 7 goals in those 4 games with a save percentage of 94.4, which is in stark contrast to the bubble Binnington that the Canucks were able to run roughshod against and ultimately chase from the net and defeat the Blues as they moved into the next round back in those 2020 playoffs. So Jordan Binnington, he can make some saves. He's looking to fight everybody on the other team. He's a guy that you can get off his game. He seems to be rattled somewhat on a fairly frequent occasion. So let's see. He gets the nod in goal tonight again against the rookie Artur Silovs at the other end of the ice.
Let's get to the stat that stands out. It's presented by Jason Hominick at Jason.Mortage.
Well, I mentioned this part of that stat a little bit earlier, that Sheldon Dries got his 3rd power play goal the other night. How about this? Sheldon Dries now has more power play goals than Elias Pettersson this season. Could you have got a decent line at Bodog, do you think, at the outset of the year in that race of power play markers between Sheldon Dries and Elias Pettersson? But the numbers don't lie. Sheldon Dries with his 3rd power play goal the other night. EP40 still sitting on just 2 for the season. That is definitely a stat that stands out to me. Brought to you by Jason Hominick at Jason.Mortage.
Let's get to my Bodog Best Bet. I'm red hot right now, and I've passed the Canucks in terms of the amount of wins I've got this year. Let's keep it rolling. I see Jordan Kyrou scoring tonight. Anytime goal scorer at plus 125. He's gone 3 straight without a goal, but he is their leading goal scorer. Jordan Kyrou going to find the back of the net tonight for the Blues.
Yeah, it was Spencer Martin in goal back in December, and he torched him for the 3. Artur Silovs, so I don't imagine the Blues or anybody in the NHL really has the book on him just yet. But Kyrou, he can get hot. He's a sharpshooter, there's no doubt. So let's see. And as we talk about sharpshooters, you're right. You've been one here of late, and we'll see if you can stay on that roll in this battle between the Blues and the Canucks tonight.
Now, I think Kyrou's going to do something in this game, but who do you got to do something for the Canucks?
Well, we've gone down this road a number of times already this season because he really hasn't done an awful lot in the goal-scoring department. But that's Brock Boeser, who has gone cold again. And you'd love to see him light things up here. His name back in the trade talks just over a week before the trade deadline. There are links to Minnesota again. Maybe Brock Boeser gets sent home. We'll see what happens. But here and now. And tonight, he's a Vancouver Canuck, and you know that he wants to help this hockey team still, but he's sitting on 10 goals for the season. He's got his last goal came against the New York Islanders back on that last road trip. But since then, no goals in his last 5 hockey games. Beyond that, just one, the goal against the Isles in the last 14 for Brock Boeser. Now, it's impossible to say that he's not picking up points along the way because he's got 9 points in his last 9 games, but only one of those is a goal. So when it comes to the goal scoring department, that's what I want to see from Brock Boeser. I want him to do something to put a puck in the net, maybe chases Jordan Binnington from that St. Louis net tonight. So looking at Brock Boeser, number 6 in your program, and we'll see if he can do something to help the Canucks' cause against the Blues.
We'll see if the Canucks can get a W against a depleted St. Louis Blues team as they try to get their first dub on the road. See if the Canucks can do it tonight in St. Louis. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast presented by Bodog. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide is the show that always scores.